Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the Penboy Roy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Montegrappa Felicita Fountain Pen. I've gone over the Montegrappa brand history before, so I'm going to breeze through it here. If you're a nerd like me and you want more detailed dates, click on the Blue Blazer review in the script below. Here goes. The brand started in 1912. It was the first ever fountain pen factory in Italy's history. Since then, the brand bounced back and forth from ownership from one entity to the next until finally in 2009, the Aquila family acquired it from the entity that owns Mont Blanc. How did that happen? Who knows? The Aquila family is from Naples in Italy. So you figure it out. I'm just kidding. Montegrappa has been responsible for some of the most luxurious and expensive fountain pens in the world, ranging from hundreds of dollars to the millions. They produced some pretty innovative, intriguing, and creepy pens. I've mentioned this before, but I'd like to go over some information from the Montegrappa website, such as some noteworthy quotes. So let's start with this one. Quote unquote, "The manufacturing facility was housed in a most impressive building, which was formerly an ancient location of a thermoelectric power plant." Ancient still means historically really old and no longer in existence, right? Because if so, that is really impressive. I didn't know that ancient people had electric power plants. I guess that answers the question of the ancient civilizations that mysteriously vanished overnight. They most likely just got up and moved, using their ancient teleportation devices. In any case, with regard to the Felicita, translated from Italian meaning happy, the Montegrappa site states that the pen, and I quote, is a unisex design that is clean and modern. And then, in the same sentence, they go on to say that it is, and quote unquote, better suited to the female hand and ideally suit the space in a female's clutch. Unisex. Right, got it. It's a good thing that the people at Montegrappa are really good at making pens, because their storytelling skills are about as good as Bill Clinton's storytelling skills on how he never smoked weed, or that other thing that was apparently a really big deal. In any case, that's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone, those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad, depending on you. The nib is a number 5 stainless steel Bach nib branded Montegrappa. It has a Greek key symbol on the shoulders of the nib. This one is a fine. On a quick side note, although the brand has switched all the number 6 nibs to Jovo nibs, the number 5 nibs at this time are all still Bach. Why? The reason being, Giuseppe just likes number 5 Bach nibs better. Simple as that. The feed? It's a simple standard plastic feed, the same cheapy feed found on many inexpensive and high-end fountain pens. The nib and feed are not part of an unscrewable nib unit, with the housing fixed to the interior of the grip section. The grip is a matching acrylic grip with the rest of the pen. The grip threads are a metal assembly. These threads screw into the metal grip threads of the body. This makes this pen non-eyedroppable. The body is a gently tapered acrylic body. At the end of the body, there is no end finial, with only a slightly curved, flat end. The cap is a slightly bulb-shaped cap in the same way the bigger brother or sister is in the Fortuna. This cap screws and unscrews in 1 8/10 of a rotation. The finial is a circular disc with 1912 in raised relief-style 3D lettering. The clip is a tension-fixed clip, fit into the cap and fixed via the interior of the cap with a screw. It is a thin metal clip, but is a very stiff clip, with a small metal tire/wheel at the end of the clip. The center band is a polished steel center band with Montegrappa on the front and Made in Italy on the rear. The pen came inside of this sleeve. Inside the sleeve is a very sturdy shoebox-style box. Inside the shoebox-style box is a clamshell box, adorned with what looks like Chase Manhattan Bank's logo all over it. I'm actually disappointed there wasn't another box inside of the box. Inside the clamshell box, you have some felt interior with a bedding where your pen sits. Underneath that bedding is a very nice booklet with information on the brand, history, and the pen, as well as 2 ink cartridges. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good, those elements about the pen that are good. So here we go. I'm going to start with the nib. This is another one of the pens where, although the nib is good and it does its job well, the star of the show is not actually the nib. More on that later. But regarding the nib, it is certainly smooth. It is a fine nib, and even so, it is very smooth and slippery. There's no tooth or feedback per se, however, the only thing I can say it has is a slight pointed feel, even though it's smooth at the same time, being that it's a fine point nib. It's moderate in terms of wetness. The fine line is pretty fine as far as Euro fines go. Here is my Conklin. I've been getting into these pens more and more these days. They are inexpensive acrylic pens with steel nibs. They are not in the same class of luxury as the Felicita, but can certainly hold its own. This one here is the cracked ice. Doesn't look like ice to me. Man, I really love this pen. I love that it's made of a very nice green acrylic, but I lose it when a pen self-destructs by virtue of it being used. This pen center band causes a spiraling scratch on the body. It almost looks like it's trying to dig out new threads for itself. It's so sad. So disappointing. I love the Lamy 2000. I don't think the price of this pen is in any way unreasonable. I've had this pen for a while, but for some reason it's super smooth, decently wet, and writes very easily. Mine seems to be missing the quote-unquote sweet spot I always seem to be hearing about with regard to this pen. So that's my only complaint. It works too well. I love my Kaweco All Sport Art. This nib is a fine, and certainly on par with a Japanese fine, if not a touch finer. This acrylic, dollars to donuts, looks exactly like the acrylic on my Visconti Ragtime, only minus the self-destruct center band. I love how my non-fountain pen infected buddies are all like, hey dude, what is that, lipstick? Yes, stupid. I write all my notes with lipstick. It's a new thing, didn't you know? Now, like I said before, as good as this pen writes, it is not the star of the show. What is really the star of the show here is on the acrylic they use. The way this pen is made is unlike any other acrylic pen I've ever seen. It has a finish, polish, and quality that is indescribable when looked at. It's a solid color that sparkles. Looking at the pens I have, as well as the ones I got my hands on while visiting the cool dudes at Kenro, the acrylic has a quality that looks almost as if it's in motion. As you rotate the pen, the light refracts off the pen, making it look as if it's a symbiotic organism that's constantly moving. Looking at the beige one, it looks like the sand of an untouched beach from the stratosphere. It is the most pure, clean, and organic acrylic I've ever seen. I grilled and investigated for weeks on how it is and what the process used was in the making of the acrylic and the way it is. The best I could come up with was in the pouring process as well as in the polishing process. Anything past that seems to be a secret recipe that disclosing may possibly wind up with the person singing eventually swimming with the fishes. I'm just kidding, that didn't happen. Not saying it didn't either. Relax, these are just jokes. Unless I go missing, of course, then really look into it. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. The MSRP of this pen is $240 to $250. At retailers online, these pens can be had for about $200. Is that a lot for an acrylic steel nib pen? Well, that depends a lot on your level of fountain pen virus infection. Not knowing much about the process of making this pen, as well as not being able to see the very beautiful nuances that the pen has to offer, it is easy to say that this is a lot of money and not worth the cost. On the flip side, for those of you that are deeply infected with the fountain pen virus and can see that there is more here than just an acrylic pen polished with an obsessive need to be able to see yourself in the finish, $200 can be a reasonable price. As I said, it depends on the totality of the qualities of the pen, what they mean to you, as well as where you are in the lifestyle of fountain pens. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. This pen is art. And with any art, there is a beauty in imperfection. There's even greater beauty in a handmade art that is so close to perfect that the imperfections are imperceivable. This is the case in the Montegrappa Felicita. There is nothing that makes this pen flawed. It is a very elegant and refined pen from top to bottom. But if I had to complain about anything at all, it would be in the stiffness of the clip. It is a very stiff clip, and it's not easily clipped onto a shirt pocket. And this pen, being as pretty and elegant as it is, I am hesitant to handle it in any manner that is rough or even a little tough. I'm not saying it's delicate, but the pen is so clean and pure looking that I don't even want to think about testing it. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Montegrappa Felicita? This is an interesting one. I love this pen. I would have said that a non-fountain pen infected should not pull the trigger on this pen, but that all went to hell the moment my wife saw my beige Felicita and said, "I'll keep this one." In a fit of panic, I said, "It's $250. And there's a pink one. I'll buy that one for you." Then, to my utter shock, she said, "When will it get here?" That's right. Not, you're crazy. Not, I'm gonna kill you. Not, we're never having sex again. Not, enjoy sleeping on the couch. Not, we need to see other people. No, she asked, when will it get here? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, I infected my wife. Yes! Is a statement said for the first time ever in the history of fountain pen reviews. By the way, I'm pretty sure that that is the only time you can make this statement, and it's a good thing. She doesn't even use fountain pens. I got her a pink platinum plaisir last year, and she used it to scribble her name to test it one time. By the way, that pen is also a savage. It sat for a year with the same ink cartridge and wrote the moment it touched paper a year later. Anyway, for someone to fall instantly in love with a pen when they don't even like pens leads me to believe that this is a pen that qualifies for a pull the trigger even for a non-fountain pen virus infected. For someone that loves fountain pens, I'd say make it happen. The acrylic in these pens versus other acrylic pens are the differences between what a ballerina is to dance versus a stripper. Both totally awesome, but one is elegant on another level. And this is what the Felicita is. That was my review on the Montegrappa Felicita. I hope it helped. Thank you guys again for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.